Okay, so we're looking at the first episode of Transformers and the first episode of what is referred to generally as G1, the opening season. And sitting beside me is Tadao Tamamatsu, sometimes known as Mr. Shake Hands Man. He is a true dyed-in-the-wool Transformer fan. Can you sing the Transformer song?
A transformer more than meets the eye.
Oh, beautiful. And we're going to talk a little bit about, as it goes along, things that we notice that are kind of interesting. Look at the heavens up there. Isn't that neat?
That's very cool.
The animation in this particular episode was really worked hard on.
Yeah.
Oh, there's what is that? That's a planet that we're looking at.
That would be Cybertron. That'd be home of the Autobots and the Decepticons.
Uh-huh.
So there you go.
You know, a strange thing sometimes, when I was doing the voices for this show, I frequently looked at the storyboard to see what the actors needed to react to, but I didn't know a lot about what the characters looked like. Because you look at the faces of the Transformers, they were very much the same. And so I concentrated on what they said and didn't get to know them visually very much. Not like you would in G.I. Joe, where I knew the faces, and Gem and the Holograms, where I knew all the faces. What's he got there, a lightsaber?
No, those are that's like energy bars.
Oh.
The original energy bars for Transformers.
And the cubes that came later?
The cubes that came later. The Energon cubes come later on in the
right.
show.
Thanks.
So just so you know.
So I'm making excuses here for not knowing quite as much about it as my friend Tadao does.
Well, you guys didn't actually have a chance to see all this.
No, I
mean,
never.
You did the voiceover
very
bits
seldom saw
before
an episode.
the
Yeah,
actual animation.
yeah. The first thing to do is record the voices. Then it goes into the great beyond of production.
So why is it a voice director instead of a regular director?
Some producers or directors in animation do their own stuff, but most of them went through art school, became very accomplished artists, and never learned to talk to actors.
Wow.
So a number of the studios, Hanna-Barbera included, have employed people like me who have worked with actors a lot to do the voice directing. I've seen producers who are only animators sit in the session and really not know what to say to get a better performance out of the actors. So that's the reason.
Wow.
I can be overruled by the director. He'll say, the animation director, he may say, nope, I don't like that. Can you do this? But we had very few of those kind of arguments.
Did you ever?
Are we off the main title here yet?
Yeah. No. This is a show.
Oh, okay.
We're well into the thing.
All right. The voice sounds are kind of an interesting thing. They said they wanted the Decepticons to be different from the Autobots.
Right.
So we did a lot of signal processing. That is, we modified the voices by sending them through 4 or 5 gadgets. We had
making them sound electronic.
making it sound electronic or robot-like. We had a vocoder, flanger. I won't get into exactly what these do. There are 4 basic things: a vocoder, a flanger, and a harmonizer, and then echo or reverb, which is fairly standard stuff. But all of those were applied at the same time. And originally, in the first few shows, we added a lot of reverb to the bad guys, the Decepticons, and later on, kept the Autobots dry. That is, without any reverb.
Like this one, that's Soundwave. That's pretty heavily electronicized, isn't it?
Yeah. And as we went along, people began to say, I don't know the difference. And finally, we ended up processing everybody the same, and there was no distinction sound-wise between the bad guys and the good guys.
This part always drove me up the wall.
What?
You would think Wheeljack would have seen Soundwave transforming. Just this is too quick. So you should have had a little more leeway. But that's just me.
You're one of those inspector guys, aren't you?
No, wouldn't think of it. No, not
well.
I'm not nitpicking. No, I'm not.
No, it is.
Well,
there are a lot of mistakes in this, and the mistakes are not the result of people being careless or lacking in talent. It's because there is so much pressure to get these shows out. I mean, once you go on a series, it's bang, 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 24/7. I've stayed up until 4 in the morning sometimes, just because I couldn't get the script any earlier. So the mistakes usually are the result of the pressures to do the job.
Yeah, I can understand that one very well, unfortunately. Ooh, there's a good electronic voice there. That's Megatron. That'd be like Frank, isn't it?
Yeah.
And earlier that was Jazz, right? So that would be Scatman Crothers.
Yeah, Scatman Crothers.
You worked with him something before, didn't you?
Say again?
You worked with Scatman Crothers before on
I worked, I worked with Scatman Crothers on Hong Kong Phooey at Hanna-Barbera. I did 26 shows with him and got to know his voice pretty well. And when he passed away, I did his voice in a couple of the episodes.
Oh,
Kind of
wow.
talking like that. What do you think, Tadao? I think we can go in now.
Honey, you don't look oriental.
All right. Where are we here?
Well, we're in Decepticon headquarters.
Again, you're going to have to tell me who these guys
Oh,
are.
that's,
'Cause
that's Starscream. He's the one who's always trying to,
On the
to
left.
take over. Yeah, and
all right.
that's Megatron. That would be Mr. Walker. I think.
Yeah.
Now we're heading for Autobots.
Commercial break.
Commercial. Well, no, that's
No,
just the
that wasn't.
interstitial.
That's just a bridge.
And that's the Ark. That's where the Autobots
The
are.
Ark.
The Ark. And there's Optimus. That would be. And there's Scatman. And that would be Mr. Cullen there.
The sound effects cutting, I don't have anything to do with that, but that's a
Right.
hell of a job on these shows. It's a tremendous amount of stuff to get. So it sounds right and to put it in the right place.
Wow.
Off into the firmament.
Yes. And then this is the Decepticons that are going to chase after him.
The plot thickens.
Thickens. Whoosh.
A whoosh, yeah. I think that's what it's called in the business, a whoosh.
I thought it was called La Fouche because wasn't it a French-made sound first?
What's that? Somebody didn't turn their cell phone off?
Yeah. Someone forgot to turn their cell phone. Yeah. The in-flight rules state you have to turn your cell phone off.
And no smoking.
You
Please
notice
put
he-
your seat backs up.
It's okay for Megatron to carry the large cannon on his arm, but he's
Well,
not allowed to
that's-
carry
yeah.
knitting needles at all. You know.
All right. Who's that with a mask
That's
over?
Peter. That was
Oh,
Peter Cullen.
okay.
That's Optimus.
They saved a lot of money by not having to lip sync his voice.
I was wondering about.
Yeah. The shield obviates the need to lip sync the mouth.
We are being followed, Decepticons.
And there he is talking quietly again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's that electronicized voice. So how many? It sounds like Soundwave had a lot more electronic stuff going through the voters and all that than everyone else.
Sounds like what?
You know, they had the Soundwave. He had to make his voice go through the voter a lot more.
Early in the series, we had to try to make each one sound different, and it
Wow.
became kind of unnecessary. And finally, we were just processing all of them near the end exactly the same way, not trying to distinguish between bad guys and,
Yeah.
and their various characters.
Oh wait. There's just something bothers me that comes up in this one. Hang on.
What?
Watch carefully. You see, this is where Optimus yells, and they do it again, but it's Megatron's voice.
Picky, picky.
What? It's just a little glitch. I've just noticed. It's kind of weird.
Ah, you're right. You're right.
It's,
Sometimes the wrong character would speak.
Yeah.
No time to fix it.
but that's not your fault because it's just the animation.
Oh
thing,
no,
isn't it?
yeah, I did the voices always perfectly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Always. Yeah.
Okay.
That works out. Whoa. Spinning out of control.
Is that the arc?
That's the arc. It's about to
Okay.
crash into. Yep. There it goes.
Hard to get out of that.
Now that would. This is the commercial break.
Right.
That's the commercial thing. That's pretty good.
That announcer, I don't remember accurately who it was, but he was a New York talent.
Oh. That. Let me see. That's Victor Carroll, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe that is. I never knew the man, but he was a New York talent. Victor Caroli, is that what you said?
Caroli.
Caroli. Where?
Right there.
Yeah, Caroli.
Yeah.
Caroli.
I'm sorry, I'm part Japanese and part Japanese.
Don't correct
yeah,
me.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, no, I'm
Okay,
correcting you.
all right.
Oops, that's a bit of a carnage there. And that would be Teletran Run. That was Teletran 1. That's Casey Kasem, isn't it? Casey Kasem doing the voice for the computer?
Casey is, yeah, I think you're right. Casey is probably one of the most prominent disc jockeys in the
Oh, yeah.
in the world, top 40 shows, and a very good actor. And he was in, and he was in Scooby-Doo as the character who owned Scooby.
Oh, Shaggy.
He was Shaggy, yeah.
Cool. Well, the sheer number of Autobots. How many voice actors did you have for this? There's only like what?
Oh,
12?
overall?
12. There were
Or
only
on
12.
This, on this episode,
On this
12,
episode.
12 actors doing
like-
probably 16 or 18 parts.
Wow.
And that wasn't extreme. over the whole series, I think we had something like 65 different characters that we covered.
Let's see. That was Chris Latta is the one playing Starscream, right?
Chris Latta, yeah, stand-up comic,
Uh-huh.
one of the agency people's favorite actors.
Mm-hmm.
He was Cobra Commander in another show that
Oh.
passed away a number of years ago.
Wow. So what does it feel like to finally see the whole thing put together in one shot here?
Oh, it's interesting. I tend to watch and see whether or not they animated it to fit the dialogue, and sometimes they didn't. And again, it's just a matter of time to do things absolutely properly. We all would like to be able to sit down, the producer, the director, the animation directors, and the storyboard guy, and discuss these things in detail. Impossible.
Wow.
Who's that?
That would be Frank.
Okay.
That's Megatron.
Great, but I'll need some help.
Who is it?
That's Rumble.
Okay.
Rumble. I'm trying to remember Rumble. Rumble was.
What was Rumble's transform?
He was a mini cassette recorder.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
he was, Because Soundwave turned into the little mini cassette, the Walkman sort of thing. That was also Frank.
Yeah.
Wow. Frank did a lot of things.
I have one of those little cassettes. They're
you
about
do?
the size of a real cassette. Yeah.
There's Hound.
You and I were talking earlier about the meticulous design of these things and
Oh,
making
yeah.
them so they'd fold into their transforms. It's really incredible.
Oh yeah, the Japanese come up with these crazy puzzle boxes and they turn them into toys. So did a lot of the Hasbro people get involved with all this?
No.
No?
I never saw a Hasbro person. I never met a Hasbro person. Never
Uh-huh.
met a Hasbro person I didn't like. But no, they stayed out of the scene. They conferred with the advertising agency that produced these. But generally speaking, the only people I had in the booth were Marvel people, generally speaking.
How many people were in the booth, by the way? Was it just the
Producer, sometimes the writer, and
Mhm.
myself, plus an engineer and some hangers-on.
Yeah. And I understand. All right. So explain to me what's the biggest factor of the voice director, and the producer, or whoever in the actual control room, and why are the actors in
The voice
other room?
director is in charge. The
Right.
producer might say, "Can you give that to me so that he's yelling on the first part of it and talking to the guy next to him on the second part?" And I'd look at it and say, "Yeah, I should have known that. Yeah, you can." And here we go. But they seldom gave me much flack, and I got so that I could change dialogue as I saw fit. And sometimes, if I felt the line was a line of dialogue was klutzy, I'd change it, then call the producer and say, "You okay with this?"
Well, I heard you say once the reason why all the producers and directors people were in the control room and the separate room with the big 4-foot
Oh,
glass
oh.
from the actors.
Yeah, it is to try to do a show where everybody is in one room. The actors are beginning to say, "Are they talking about me? What's going on here?" They get a little paranoid, and even when there's a glass
Actors-
there. But
Actors paranoid? Who told you we were paranoid? I'm not
Yeah.
paranoid. Who told you we were paranoid? I'm not. Oh wait, I'm not.
yeah, it is good to have a place privately, the control room, where you can talk about the problems you may have. May not have anything to do with the actor at all.
It could be just an electronic thing.
Yeah.
Or, someone forgot to turn the on switch on. Do any of the actors, or do you find it funny the fact that some of the actors are talking against each other? Like, for example, if Frank Welker being, Megatron is suddenly arguing with himself as another character
Oh,
on the other
that's
side.
there's some actors who can do that, and Frank can always do it. He can play maybe 3 or 4 characters in different voices and have a dialogue going between all 4 characters. But he's been doing it for years. Other people get lost and can't say, "Wait a minute, how was I supposed to be speaking for that guy?" Oh, okay. And we kept a cassette of everybody's audition in the booth, and anytime anybody began to stray from the characteristics of their character, we'd run the cassette and get him back on track.
To remind them what they sounded
Yeah,
like?
a reminder of what they were hired to do.
That happened that often?
Oh, yeah, especially early in the show. People are not that well ingrained into their characters.
Yep, commercial. That's the other strange thing. Having worked with you and Peter and Michael McConaughey on that little, we did a little that little
Yeah.
Saturday night fun little theater play of Transformers, and always I'm hearing Autobots transform and roll out. I've never heard
Very
it.
good. You don't let Peter hear
No,
you
no,
say
no,
that.
no.
eh?
I love Peter.
He
wouldn't
would
no.
not
He-
like
you know,
that.
he-
You're
he-
too
he-
good.
He kicked my butt. Even as Optimus, so not being Optimus, he kicked my butt. But the funny thing is, they're always saying transform. When did do you remember when that catchphrase Autobots transform and roll out came in? Was it
Yeah.
like first season, second season, something like that?
I don't know when it. I was just working on the next show, hoping I'd get it done on time.
Oh, wow. How many shows were you working on at the time?
A lot of people will say, "You remember episode 32 or something?"
Uh-huh.
Or give me the name. I have. It's a blank
Oh,
because we had to work so fast. Sometimes I did 3 of these shows a week. That means 3 10-hour periods of preparing and recording.
Well, this was the good. This is Perceptor. That's I think this was Chris Latta as well, and it's 3 voices.
Okay.
That's
So
pretty good.
there he would do one,
Yeah.
and we would put it on tape, and then feed it back to him, and he would parallel that with a new take, and then the third guy would come in, and he'd do all those voices, but they don't have to sound.
Right.
I'd ask him to do one a little deeper, one a little higher, and so on, so they would sound different.
The guys that I've seen, like Peter and Michael, were always talking about how you do like these A-level, B-level crowd noises with the entire.
Yeah, it's
cast.
called Walla because
It's not called Wally.
No, not called Wally.
Oh, it's called Walla. Okay.
Walla, because it sounds like a lot of people talking at the same time, and you can't really distinguish what they're saying. It's for crowds.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
We get everybody going, and they're
Peas and carrots, peas and carrots.
that's done for all films and motion pictures.
Because I think there'll be a Walla scene coming up, but it's like they keep telling me that you'd have them all yell at this level, and they say no, I want a lot more people yelling at this level.
Yeah.
The A level, the Wally A level, the B Wally level.
It
the C
has to
Wally
be.
level.
It's like a lot of things. It looks like it's easy, but if it's not done right, it sounds hokey. And so I tried to make sure that the crowd thing sounded accurate and real.
Sunstreaker. Science right.
There's Mr.
Oh, hey, look.
Optimus Prime being very quiet. What?
There's Scatman, and all the products there. I mean, all the characters are there. Wheeljack.
Nice lineup here of all
Yeah.
the characters. Transform. And move out. Did he say move
Move
out?
out? I don't know.
Sorry,
It
I
was
talked
move out.
over his line.
No, it's okay. There they go, rolling off. I remember when these toys first came out in Japan, and my relatives sent them to me because they figured, hey, there's something Tadao can't figure out. Ha! Cool of them.
All right.
And this is where we introduce Spike and
Yeah.
his dad.
There's Corey Burton's character. Corey, interesting actor. He would come in, and some actors are quick study, and some actors are rather slow to get their part. It has no reflection on whether or not they eventually get the character right. But Corey would fool around, and I'd say, is he going to get it? Is he going to get it? And eventually he'd come up with a better characterization than most of the people in the studio. Jack Angel could come in and do anything you wanted him to do. Zit, like that. That's a 40-year-old man doing that line for the teenager.
You're kidding.
Yeah. That's Corey's. He's about that old, man.
Doesn't sound that old at all. Really good job.
That's one of the things voiceover people have to be able to do. Change their age.
That sound effect sounds familiar. Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Sorry. I just commenting on the sound effects. Oop, there you
We're
go.
not talking about the sound effect.
You're right. I'm sorry. Those are Energon cubes.
These are energy cubes.
These are Energon cubes.
Energon cubes. Excuse me, you're right.
You could solve the whole energy crisis right now if we could figure out how that works for real.
Geez, it's hard to believe this is 20 years ago.
Nah, it seems like yesterday.
Well, it's hung in.
Yeah. I think there was another. No, that's fine. Flying Autobots. The whole battle scene's going on. How enthusiastic were the rest of the actors when they were doing all these wild things? Were they jumping around like crazy in the booth, or?
Sometimes, yeah, you had to say, I need that energy and that feeling of physicality, but you can't stomp on the floor that way. And once in a while, they'd run into their mics, and we'd just stop for a second and say, let's do that line over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun thing to do. Most actors love doing voiceover.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have makeup, you don't have early calls, you don't have to study your script. Just show up, mark your lines, and do your part.
Wow.
But the energy levels tend to flag in a long show like this, where there's a lot of dynamics going, a lot of yelling, a lot of plunging into this, that, and the other thing. And that's one thing I tried to always keep them up. I'm losing energy, guys. And
How long does it take to do one of these shows? I mean,
4
you know,
hours is a
4 hours
recording
episode.
session. 8 hours for the first episode.
Wow.
Screen Actors Guild allows 8 hours. The rest of them are done in 4 hours. And once in a while, I'd go a little overtime, and the actor would get a little more money.
This must have been hard. Where you're in the studio and you're trying to pretend there's something heavy. How do you explain that?
Like that. Whew.
Oh, commercial.
Commercial.
And this is the next episode. So we're towards the end here.
Yeah.
This is the next scenes for the next episode. Ooh, that was a cool effect. Hey, rubies.
The ruby crystals of Burma.
So there's the odd commentary. I'd like to thank all the wonderful Aussies who have decided to listen to Wally Burr and myself make odd comments throughout this first episode. I hope you're enjoying it.
I am. It's fun to see these things again.
So thank you all, and we'll catch up with you later.
Now you're going to take me to lunch.
Now I'm going to take you to lunch. I'll let the boss take you to lunch.